Well, a very good evening to you, and you're welcome to News Night here on Metro TV with me, Ania Fampofu, live from the Akwa Boahema studio at North Ridge. Follow us on social media. We're on Metro TV Ghana on Facebook and Metro TV_GH on Instagram and Twitter. Follow us on channel 277 DSTV as well. Let's take a closer look at headlines of stories coming up. Supreme Court dismisses application for injunction on the implementation of the electronic transaction levy, popularly known as e-levy. Government says it's not entirely to be blamed for poor performance on the World Press Freedom Index. We'll be giving you details of that as well. Strike by members of Civil and Local Government Staff Association in demand for payment for their neutrality allowances enters second week. Ruling New Patriotic Party strongly rejects claim by former President John Dramani Mahama that Ghana's economy is at a crossroads. We'll bring you details of what they said as well. Our news from elsewhere, European Union considers tougher sanctions against Russia. Welcome back. The news now in detail. Now let's start from here. The man whose wife died at the Manhyia Government Hospital in the Ashanti region has accused nurses on duty for negligence. According to the husband of the deceased, Hudu Sulemana, his wife was left to die because there was no nurse available to attend to her.
But sugar, over 1.8.
Hudu Suleiman alleged there were no nurses to attend to his wife. Hudu Suleiman, who narrated the incident to the media, said he had to run up and down in efforts to save his wife. He said he became very exhausted when he couldn't find any nurse to save the wife who was struggling to live. His wife was on admission at the Manhyia Government Hospital undergoing treatment for diabetes.
No receipt. Anything that I can say be PA, I could tell the check the sugar. I can say the good turn over. I see, and the good mom, it's almost fantastic. You had to check about your mommy. Because the media something. Debbie.
Nurse ni bi eni ni.
Debbie.
O dene ba nyina na obi eni ho.
Me didn't buy a Nadia, and I'm saying, my man is scanning tea. Be 30 minutes beer, or be check sugar. Be 30 minutes beer, or be check sugar. Eba, I say, me say no, this is gonna or Jimmy Sono. This is car. Mr. Renoir. And to say, the Eba, and I say, you no problem. Me, I didn't know, without no receipt. Me, Kotoma, 1 year day. No, I churama, meaning say, drone or such roma, say, me, Koto. Me call here now, almost say, be almost maybe or almost pharmacy. No, Mimpia Abontin wa Hase Mbetobi. Mimpia na Mebetobi 1.8 na made the bromo. Made the bromo, say, Nebra Biaba said, made the bromo, say, on check and say, and them says, I need to me uncle Samiko Jimmy Sika Tom idea 80. Only time and some mammy view.
He alleged, though he was asked to go and buy test kits for his wife, there was no nurse to administer the kits when he returned. Meanwhile, the medical superintendent of the Manhyia Government Hospital, Kamaruddin Koku Hussein, has denied there was no nurse at the facility when Hudu Suleiman's wife passed.
Oh, you cannot be negligent because the case that you are talking about had been on admission for almost 3 days. And then I was just having a discussion with the brother of the husband of the deceased person. And they indicated that we were happy with the service that we provided to them. There was absolutely no problem with the service that was provided to them because we were checking their sugar regularly as it's supposed to be done per the protocol that is available to everybody. So we will not say there's any negligence as far as that case is concerned.
He, however, assured of investigations.
Well, Metro TV will follow keenly on the story, follow up on the story, and bring you details and updates of it. Obviously, as you've seen, the medical superintendent has responded to it, but it definitely will not end there. Now, the Supreme Court has unanimously dismissed an injunction application filed by 3 members of the Minority Caucus in Parliament, which sought to block the implementation of the electronic transaction transfer levy, popularly known as e-levy. Now, the ruling means the controversial e-levy remains in force.
By a unanimous 7-0 decision, the Supreme Court has dismissed the application for an injunction against the implementation of the Electronic Transactions Levy. The Apex Court has also directed the Ghana Revenue Authority to preserve the records generated since the e-levy's implementation on May 1, 2022. In response to the ruling, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu said he is satisfied with the court's directive to the GRA until the substantive case is determined.
266 members of parliament, after the minority of 136 walked out, certainly these are matters that the Ghanaian public can get better. But what is refreshing and heartwarming today is the second part of the ruling, which gives directives to the Ghana Revenue Authority to preserve and keep the money. At least some people will not be in a right to collateralize it until the substantive matter is determined. For us, we raise this matter because it's of public interest significance, it's of constitutional significance, and we think that we'll pursue it to its logical conclusion. So we are very happy with the performance of our lawyers. We only pray that Ghana is not going to have 2 sets of laws. One that serves and protects the elected elites of a ruling government, and one that serves the political minority of an opposition.
Well, on that note, meanwhile, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, says government is fully satisfied with the Supreme Court's ruling on the e-levy injunction. According to him, the minority leader and 2 others rushed to court on conjecture.
According to Godfred Dame, all legal processes were followed before the controversial levy was passed into law.
Very satisfied and fully content with the outcome today. And I think that for me that has caused the point that did not go to court based on conjectures. I actually heard the court use that expression in relation to one of the contentions of the applicant. Yes, we found before the court a bundle of speculations as to even the numbers based on which Parliament voted to approve e-levy. And I feel that was way below the standard.
Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dame further stressed that the Ghana Revenue Authority will also oblige with the court directive for records of the collection of the e-levy to be preserved well.
It's just an affirmation of what GRA does every day. Just a restatement of what the Ghana Revenue Authority ordinarily does. There's no revenue collection agency in the world which does not keep records. So in order to keep records, you just to state that clearly you should show that all that you record, all that you collect is recorded.
You're welcome back. Now, let's now get onto the phone lines and speak with former Member of Parliament for Tamale Central and legal practitioner Inusah Hussaini on this development. Thank you for your time, lawyer, and good evening to you. Welcome to Newsnight. So, do you stand vindicated with the court ruling today?
Well, I will not say vindicated, but I think that my thinking was in line with that of the court. I had said that the presumption of regularity will come into play because the Parliament was acting in an official capacity in performing its duties, and the presumption clearly until the contrary is proven, the court will hold that everything was followed. So I'm not surprised that the court relied on the doctrine of regularity. Indeed, in argument with one of the applicants, I had said that it was my view that the court will invoke that presumption, and so I'm not surprised at all.
Is that to say that maybe your colleagues, in the minority, did not do maybe a large consultation before going to court on this particular injunction?
Well, you see, because it's an injunction, and the fact that the court wants to hold the balance of convenience to see which party will suffer an irreparable damage if an injunction is granted. It doesn't really predispose the substantive matter, does it?
Yes,
so yes, even though the court has not injuncted the GRA from the collection of the taxes, that doesn't mean that the case cannot be decided in favor of the plaintiffs, and that is why the court has ordered that the GRA keeps records, primary documents of those who are paying the taxes. So that in the event that the court finds in favor of the plaintiffs, there can be a refund to the plaintiffs, because you can't build something on nothing. If the court comes to the conclusion that the law on which the GRA is purporting to implement the tax was unconstitutional because the Parliament acted in excess of its powers, then the collection cannot stand, because that is the law that gives the power to a GRA to collect the taxes. And so if the collection cannot stand, then the GRA will be obligated to return all or refund all monies that they had collected to those who had paid the tax before the declaration.
So how do you see the substantive case? How do you think it will go?
Well, what the court has done clearly is to leave a glimmer of hope for the plaintiffs, and that's why the minority leader has said that he's satisfied with the balance, because it clearly means that the case can go either way, and so the GRA must keep records, and not the money, the records of the payments, because GRA is in a better position to refund to taxpayers under the e-levy if the court so finds that the implementation of the e-levy is unconstitutional.
Well, Inisa Foseni, we thank you. We're grateful for your time. Let's see how that will also go going forward. But does that mean, just a quick one, are you going to, have some legal communication with your colleagues before the substantive case is heard?
No. We are Ghanaians. We are active citizens, not spectators, not so. And so we are looking at, I mean, when the matter is filed as part of my training as a lawyer, I look at the matter, I try to profile my own opinion, and then try to get in touch if they were willing to listen to some of the matters that I think should be taken into consideration. And so, yes, I mean, knowledge does not reside in the head of one person, does it?
Thank you very much, Inisa Foseni, for your time. And he's former member of parliament for Tamale Central constituency. Now, the implementation for the 1.5% value tax on electronic transaction above 100 Ghana cedis began on Sunday, 1st May 2022. Meanwhile, some Ghanaians have expressed their opinions on how the e-levy has affected their businesses.
Since this e-levy started, those who are coming here now, they're not coming to send out, they're coming to withdraw the money, because they don't understand the meaning of the e-levy. So we need more education of it. People are not making deposits, they are not making sending, they're just withdrawing the money. They are withdrawing the money from their account because they are not understand how the e-levy and how the things are working on. For the e-levy there, it will help because the government said that you're using it to help us construction of road and other things, so it will help us. But for us, the agents in there, we need the government or we need the telecom to come out to explain a lot so that the customers will understand. Because we are working for the customers. The e-levy means that when you are sending the money from your subscriber, your account to your co-subscriber account, that's where the e-levy will affect you. But when you are going to withdraw or send from the agent point, there is no e-levy on it.
mobile money no e-levy na masisi anipa bebre abamabu mobile money ho this time say no obi kura customer ba nchen na obeto ade okasa wo send sika mobile money amana o se da bi o giska no because first so na eboa so ubema obi ebi 100 Ghana kura na wo send a wo de 1 cedi ebi 2 cedi wo de atoso no de na obi anim ba sisi no senia asi akoba se ube send this cano, nipa ne bekwa koyi no, ye betse amanatra sa we na ye de tumu no. I had drain. Since a started free Monday be seen there, ubi ama ye kura with the mobile money mana or accept you. Until I idea a hard drain panties, I bind the behenance, obey your home bibia, or muncha no munya home bibi na dear no crano. Said ya na omuji 2 months terminal. Nani pebi munsha da as empty as ye. Ena abantem sa nti ye srempan fo no o mampanyi ne onhwe na onya hu bibi because ade a isi ano na eboa ye
I say business na confirm mo say perform your drawers for nowadays because of say you live in start here no for deductions na etie no ma bebre ebonyo so bebre ne nye say this ka wa to phone so na bi ono an sika da to phone so na oyi na deductions no e cost so sa go initial review of the 100 cities no ba year better 1 city now no better 250 pesos I buy no the 0.15% and I be can ho am I say in total 2.15% and is I be can ho am we na man for anya ni je biem o mu ni ani je biem mobile money movie.
Well, so the New Patriotic Party has also described the former President Dramani Mahama's pronouncement to the abolishment of e-levy if elected in 2024 as a scam. Now, the party said John Mahama is unfit to cancel e-levy because his track records are there to show urging Ghanaians to ignore such pronouncements.
On Monday, May 2, the former president, John Mahama, said at a lecture in Accra that the next NDC government will abolish the controversial e-levy when elected into office. According to John Mahama, the opposition NDC is not opposed to taxation. However, the party is against taxes that burden Guineans.
When we are supposed to be celebrating workers, we are celebrating a new tax imposed on them. And already there's a litany of complaints about the implementation. I've heard complaints of transfers of under 100 cedis being subject to tax contrary to the law. And I've heard others say that they sent 1,000 cedis and paid no additional tax. Clearly, the Ghana Revenue Authority and those responsible for this tax were not ready for its implementation.
Reaction, however, the New Patriotic Party described the former president John Mahama's pronouncement to abolish the levy as a scam.
Just like one-time premium and the repeal of top tax, it is a scam. In any event, can John Mahama explain the difference in his 17.5% tax on financial transactions and his manifesto pledge to impose a uniform tax on all electronic transactions? Are these measures e-levy in disguise? And does he still stand by those measures? Because in the one instance, he implemented, the MPP repealed the 17.5% tax on financial transactions. MPP repealed it. In the other instance, it was in his 2020 manifesto that he was going to apply a uniform tax to all electronic transactions. What was that? Is that different from the e-levy, or it is the name that he is yet to find?
The party said John Mahama is unfit to cancel e-levy because his track record in government is absurd and cannot be trusted.
We still stay a little longer with the MPP, and the party has once again admitted that though there are challenges facing the economy, it is not at a crossroads. Reacting to former President Mahama's public lecture on the economy, Communications Director Yao Boabing says that the government is working at returning the economy to growth and prosperity.
President John Mahama said in his lecture on Monday, May 2 in Accra, that Ghana's economy was at a crossroad.
After inheriting a stable economy that was programmed and poised for rapid growth from early 2017, this government has squandered its way into a ditch from which it has become impossible to emerge without imposing even deeper hardship and suffering on the Ghanaian people. The minimum expectation was that the MPP government will build on the strong foundation that had been bequeathed them and achieve incremental progress over what they met. They have instead carried out a demolition exercise of that foundation and left our economy in quicksand, sinking at an alarming rate.
This did not go down well with the ruling party, the MPP, and it has thus strongly kicked against the pronouncement.
The biggest gap in John Mahama's approach to your political feelings is his refusal to acknowledge the true impact of COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukraine war on the economy of Ghana. Whilst he opts to believe beyond the shores of Ghana, his hope of election lies in misrepresenting the state of Ghana to the extent that he even ignores the bare truth that the IMF and the World Bank put out at the end of the program he put us into, so that you can dissociate your listeners, your viewers' minds from the propaganda that the economy was already falling before COVID.
Even though the party admitted there are challenges facing the economy, it noted the country is not at a crossroad. According to the party's communications director, Yabuabia Samoa, these are very strong economic indicators and that government is working at returning the economy to growth and prosperity.
The mantra now is that, the economy was already collapsing before COVID. Go back to April 2019, read the Article 4 consultations online, read the report the IMF had about the Ghanaian economy before they signed off on us leaving the program that John Mahama put us into. If the economy was collapsing, they wouldn't have left. They wouldn't have allowed us to exit the program.
Right. Now, convener for Fixing the Country movement, Ernest Osubempa, has described claims by the former president, Mahama, that the country is at a crossroads as baseless. Responding to the former president, John Dramani Mahama, Ernest Osubempa said the NDC cannot be an alternative to the MPP.
The convener of Fixing the Country movement, Ernest Osubempa, was speaking on the back of a presentation by the former president John Dramani Mahama about the country being at a crossroad. According to him, the country under Mahama faced multiple problems, including rising cost of living, collapsed businesses, lack of inclusive economic growth, and unemployment.
John Mahama, who many people say came into politics by accident, happened to be the worst ever president in the history of Ghana since independence. Is Ghana really at a crossroads? Ghana under Mahama faced multiple problems of rising cost of living, and I hope most Ghanaians are aware, and I don't want to elaborate more. Collapsing businesses, a lack of inclusive economic growth to address unemployment, poor infrastructure, and rising fiscal and balance payment deficit.
He added that the NDC is not an alternative to the MPP.
The fundamental truth here is that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, is not an alternative to solve Ghana's problems. The man doesn't even have a single solution to the country's problem. Mahama is just a desperate leader who wants to rule the country again, hence his penchant of making false claims of having all answers to the country's problems. It is also known as a fact that Mr. Mahama has nothing to offer except to draw back the country's progress if Ghanaians mistakenly give him power again. That is, if the NDC elect him as their flag bearer.
Ernest Osubempa also responded to claims by the former president that the COVID expenditure has been mismanaged.
President Akufo-Addo, over the last 5 years, has expanded the Ghanaian economy and is doing more to build a better society. Take, for instance, the Akufo-Addo's management of COVID-19. The positive appraisal by the World Health Organization praising Akufo-Addo administration as against Mahama's mismanagement of cholera outbreak, common cholera outbreak in 2014. Can Ghanaians be informed of the measures instituted by John Dramani Mahama during the almighty Doomsor that find itself in the Wikipedia? And Ghana has become a subject of ridicule because of certain incompetent leadership of John Dramani Mahama. Today, Doomsor has found itself in a Wikipedia. which describe a weak leadership of somebody who couldn't manage power crisis in this country.
Now, the Council of Ghana Communication Technology University, there's a GCTU, has appointed Professor Robert Ebo Henson as the next Pro-Vice Chancellor of the university. The appointment takes effect from 1st May 2022 and is for a 3-year term. GCTU is a progressive public university, and the act establishing the university notes that the university aims at providing a viable center for higher education in information and communication technology. In acceptance, the offer, Professor Henson expressed deep delight at joining a public university that has embedded in its act lofty aims like providing global consultancy services to both the private and the public sectors, fostering university industries linkages, promoting basic and applied research, and creating an entrepreneurial environment that will support innovation and product incubation development. Professor Ebo Henson has held several higher education administrative roles in East and West African universities. He has also acted as Vice Chancellor, Rector, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Director of Institutional Advancement, Head of Residential Hall, and as Head of an Academic Department. You're still watching News Night here on Metro TV with me, Annie Ampofo. Let's go for a break. We'll be back shortly. To News Night here on Metro TV. Now let's do some more stories. Under strike by members of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, Ghana, CLOGSAG, in demand for the payment for their neutrality allowance has entered week 2, despite an earlier assurance from the National Labour Commission that staff will resume a visit to some offices and departments on Wednesday showed that the workers are still not at post.
A new week, and CLOGSAG has not announced the return of members to their respective posts to resume work. This implies that Ghanaians who will require the services of the Social Welfare Department, among others, will be left unattended. At the Registrar General's Department, offices remain closed, and Ghanaians are still feeling the absence of staff as a number of customers who visited these offices for their personal businesses were left stranded. Some of the customers expressed their frustrations with Metro News.
Found a lot of things, and I'm coming to check to find out whether it has been done. But when I came in, so they haven't resumed the strike, so I couldn't get what I wanted. That's why I'm still here.
Is it going to affect you in any way?
Yes, please, because customers are still waiting for their certificates, their profiles and other things. That's why I'm still here. They've given us also a mandatory to file for annual returns. So we don't know whether they are going to reverse it or I can't really.
It affects me because I have to use my papers to do my business. I'm going for one of embassy to file my visas, but they requested about my business. Unfortunately, I wasn't know it was expired, but when I got the they showed me that my papers as well. I have to come to Richard General and renew it, but as you can see, there's no working.
Meanwhile, CLOGSAG executives in press release say the industrial action is a legal strike that is proceeding unabated. According to them, the action has become necessary as a result of government's failure to fulfill its side of the agreement since February 2022. CLOGSAG has therefore urged members to remain resolute and stay at home until further notice. In other stories, Deputy Minister for Information Abubakar says government cannot be blamed entirely for Ghana's drop in the 2022 World Press Freedom Index. She says although the ranking is worrying, government is taking steps to facilitate the passage of the broadcast bill to regulate content production and also protect journalists. Ghana dropped 30 places to 60 globally and 10th in Africa.
Published by Reporters Without Borders, Ghana dropped 30 places in the latest Press Freedom Index. The report, which is released to commemorate International Press Freedom Day, scored Ghana 67.43, placing the country 60th out of 180 countries. This is the lowest the country has ever seen in the past 17 years since it placed 66th in 2005. According to the report, government has increasingly become intolerant to free speech. However, speaking at a commemorative durbar to celebrate this year's Press Freedom Day, the Deputy Minister of Information, Fatima Abubakar, disagreed partially with the report.
Government is putting in the necessary steps, including taking input from technocrats and industry experts to facilitate the passage of the broadcasting bill. The key issues in the past year that have contributed to Ghana's recent critique are matters that require some more engagement of security agencies and the general public. Attacks by some youth of Ada on a radio station, acts of some overzealous policemen in handling some cases of journalists suspected to be involved in crimes are not the doing of government.
Chairman of the National Media Commission, Yao Boydu Ayaboafo, who strongly condemned attacks on pressmen, also admonished media practitioners not to overstep the privileges that comes with the job, but rather advance the cause of truth.
Any one of us can say whatever that we want to say, and nobody should prevent us from doing that. But after we have said what we want to say, if it offends the sensitivities and sensibilities of other people, we must pay compensation. Because our rights is no more important than the right of anybody.
You're still watching News Tonight here on Metro TV. Let's take another breather. I'll be back. Welcome back to News Tonight. It's time for business news, and we're going into the world of Winston Taki, who is standing by. Winston, you're welcome.
Thank you, Annie.
Good evening to you.
Good evening, Annie.
Right, what's in the business world?
All right, business update right after this. Stay tuned. And now to our first business story. Executive Director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah, says government will rather lose about $12 billion annually if it fails to scrap some taxes on petroleum products. He was speaking on the back of the president's speech defending why petroleum taxes cannot be removed.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, speaking at this year's May Day celebration in Accra, said the plea for government to remove some taxes on fuel will be very difficult to implement. According to the president, removing taxes on petroleum products will reduce government's revenue by some 4 billion Ghana cedis.
Petroleum price increases. The suggestion has been made, which has also been repeated by the Secretary General, is at this moment not sustainable. Removing taxes on petroleum products will reduce government revenues by some 4 billion cedis.
But in an interview with the Executive Director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amoah, refusal to remove the taxes will rather cost government more.
You might probably be in a better position to let go 4 billion in order not to be encumbered for about 10 to 20 billion at the accounting year. But if government insists to hold on to the 4 billion taxes that it could also reduce to give some relief to everybody within the system, what I am putting on record is that government would end up losing times 3 of that amount by the end of the accounting year, because government is equally consuming, and contractors would soon definitely be asking for double what they charged last year for the same scope of work.
He has called on government to act quickly in order to avoid pressure on the market in the coming days.
Now, Deputy Energy Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has announced to international investors that the country will soon commence a process to offer new oil blocks for exploration through direct negotiations in the western and eastern basins.
On the sideline of the 2022 Offshore Technology Conference, Dr. Amin Adam said the country is seeking to maximize resources in producing areas, and therefore the ministry will continue to improve the enabling environment for investment through the legal and regulatory reforms. For example, the government over the last 2 years amended petroleum regulations to allow the exploration and production and development areas without a requirement for a new petroleum agreement. He further indicated that in spite of the global energy transition, Africa's oil will continue to play a strategic role as oil fields globally are depleting faster than the decline in global demand. This, he says, requires continuing investment in new capacity, prioritizing low-cost production areas. According to him, Ghana is well positioned since production costs remains low in our country. Further to this, our investment environment is very enabling and has been considered one of the most liberal in Africa. Our petroleum fiscal regime adequately rewards investment capital, provides fiscal stability and certainty against future adverse development.
Now, away from that, Minister for Works and Housing Francis Asensio-Boakye has expressed Ghana's commitment in achieving its goals on the new urban agenda. He was speaking at the United Nations General Assembly in the United States.
Statistics from the 2021 Population and Housing Census report on housing characteristics revealed that approximately 12.7% of the total structures counted were vacant housing units, giving a clear indication that our housing supply has outpriced the average person in Ghana. As a result, the government of Ghana has prioritized the delivery of affordable housing units to increase access to various affordable housing options in the country. In doing so, Mr. President, the government of Ghana intends to create the enabling environment to direct affordable housing and induce private sector investment towards meeting the needs of lower-income households and other vulnerable groups. The strategy of Ghana is to secure land banks, provide requisite infrastructure, and leverage private sector investment for affordable housing construction. Related to this, Mr. President, is the establishment of the Home Ownership Fund to provide mortgages to enable average Ghanaians afford housing. Under this strategy, Ghana has positioned itself to capitalize on the opportunities in affordable housing and its associated basic services to improve health outcomes, generate employment, enhance home-based learning, and increase digital access.
Now let's bring you the latest update from the Forex and Commodities market. That'll be all for business here on Newsnight. My name is Winston Takib. Back to Annie for the rest of the bulletin. Annie?
Thank you so much for letting us know how to manage our economy. Now let's go for a break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Newsnight. It's time to go into the world of sports, and Phil John Korte Bannerman is here with me. Phil, you're welcome. Good evening to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Up next, we'll bring you the latest in sports. My name is Phil John Quartet. As a successful implementation of the e-ticketing piloting project, the board chairman of the National Sports Authority that Ghanaians might be ready to embrace e-ticketing in sports.
For people, for entrepreneurs or investors to get value for money, the government has piloted e-ticketing on our various national sports stadiums that are owned by the state, where matches, if being played, or sporting activities must be e-ticketed. This we believe in our conviction from the pilot stages when Ghana played the Blacks in revenue through the e-ticketing, which is unprecedented in any of our national team matches that we have played in this country. We proceeded to have it done between Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Accra House of Folk, and we had a similar record of margins from the process. We have therefore rolled it over all the league centers that are ongoing in the national sports stadiums that are owned by the state and managed by the National Sports Authority. This we believe that will go to empower and improve the revenue of the clubs and their investors. And this, by and large, will improve on the economy, because when there is no kululu going on in where you put in your money, then the rightful taxation can also be done so that productivity can go into the right places.
From Accra, let's go to Niger, where the national under-20 team have arrived for the WAFO Zone B tournament. Ghana are currently the champions after winning in Nigeria. Ghana finds herself alongside Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and a man from Lome, Togo. Let's hear Karim Zutu, who is in charge of the national under-20 team.
We were the previous champions. You are talking to me, you are talking about fear. They have to fear, not me. Luckily, I play Nigeria, and I played Nigeria in the first opening game. I beat them 1-0. Then I played in the finals against Burkina Faso. They had the first goal. I came back and then beat them 2-1. So they rather have to fear me. But one thing is a fact. I know it won't be easy, especially when our senior brothers just topple them down. So they will come all on us to achieve or to make amendments. We are also going to go in very tough and then try to defend that issue.
Karim Zito is in charge of the national under-20 team preparing for the WAFO Zone B tournament starting in Niger in matter of this. Just before we go away and make way for entertainment, we're being told that it is goalless in the Spanish capital between Real Madrid and Manchester City. Remember that the winner of that double tie will face Liverpool in the finals of this year's UEFA Champions League. Liverpool managed to beat Villarreal by 3-2 yesterday, then qualify on a 5-2 aggregate. That's your sports. My name is Phil John Quartet. Studio is ready for Showbiz.
Thank you, Phil, for the updates in sports. It's time for entertainment news. My name is Asiodua Akumia. The music's biggest weekend is here again. The 23rd edition of Vodafone Ghana Music Awards is scheduled to happen on the 6th and 7th of May 2022. Now, Robert Clark, PRO for the VGMAs, outlined the preparations towards the event on Entertainment Review.
There are about 4 phases of the event. We have the logistics planning for production that's supposed to go in. We have the red carpet session and the entire experience that comes with the glitz and the glam of the red carpet. Then we have the award presentations and the presenters. We have the performers as well. And obviously the artists who are supposed to be celebrated. All of these phases are being managed and are being prepared and ready for an experience on Friday and Saturday. And as usual, we're expecting the best of experience from all these multiple fronts. So at the end of the day, all of them put together can give us a kind of experience that VGMA represents and stands for. Everything is always different. Nothing ever remains the same. Yeah, every year, the people who make up the red carpet are different. They wear different clothes. The people who speak wear different clothes. The award recipients are different. The award presenters are a mix of different folks. performances are never the same. They're always different.
Yeah.
The songs that are performed are always different. So when people ask, I say everything is different because nothing ever remains the same.
That's it for entertainment news. My name is Asiedua Akumia. Annie?
You made my night. Let's now take some international stories. And on international fronts, the EU has proposed some of its toughest measures yet against Russia, including a total ban on oil imports and sanctions on the war crimes suspects. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says the package was aimed at maximizing pressure on Russia while minimizing damage to Europe. Now, Russia crude oil will be phased out within 6 months, she said. Hungary has rejected the proposal as unacceptable, and a Czech and Slovakia government want a transition period. The EU has been focusing for weeks on how to wean itself off Russian oil and gas. It has already pledged to reduce gas imports by 2/3 by the end of 2022 and now plans to phase out on crude oil over 6 months and refined products by the end of 2022. In a separate move, the EU has also promised to increase military aid to neighboring Moldova, which is under the threat from Russian soldiers based in the breakaway Moldova region of Transnistria. All right, that's all we have for you, but coming up at 9 p.m. is Community Watch, that is focusing on some social challenges inside Insuom. So you want to stick with Metro TV and get the details, as Oboda Tobo Sean will lead the team to bring you details on that. That's it for Newsnight. My name is Annie.